Welcome to this deep dive. Today, our mission is to explore a fascinating operational analysis of car dealerships, really to uncover this invisible friction point where perfectly good sales leads just go to die.
Right. And the sources we are looking at give a brutally honest look inside the modern dealership. But I mean, even if you never plan to sell cars, this is totally relevant.
Oh, absolutely. It is a brilliant masterclass on how, siloed departments, misaligned incentives, and measuring the wrong metrics can quietly destroy gross profit in literally any business.
Yeah, it really is. It happens anywhere one team sets up an interaction and another team has to deliver the final result.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because, when a sale fails, everyone assumes the marketing was bad or the salesperson just messed up.
Right, the usual suspects.
Exactly. But the sources reveal the real serial killer of sales is something else entirely. It's the handoff.
Yeah, the handoff. Because on paper, the process looks incredibly clean, doesn't it? Marketing gets a lead, the business development center or BDC sets an appointment,
Yep, the customer shows up.
the customer shows up, and the salesperson closes the deal. But the reality is a completely different story.
It really is. And to understand the friction here, we first have to understand that the two departments handling the customer are living in completely different universes.
The environmental contrast is, well, it's staggering. The BDC lives in pure structure. They were trying to hit call quotas, appointment quotas, contact rates.
Right, they are at desks with headsets looking at dashboards.
Exactly. Every minute is scheduled. But then the showroom lives in absolute chaos. Salespeople are juggling phone-ups, angry customers, complex appraisals, finance issues, walk-ins.
It honestly feels like an air traffic controller looking at a perfectly organized radar screen, while down on the runway, the baggage carts are on fire and planes are dodging rogue seagulls.
That is the perfect analogy. And what's fascinating here is how this environmental difference leads dealerships to measure the BDC exactly like a call center.
Right, they track pure activity, like how many texts did you send?
Yes. How many calls did you make? How many appointments did you set? But they falsely equate this activity with actual sales productivity.
Wait, so if I understand this right, a BDC agent can do their job flawlessly, according to the spreadsheet, get their bonus, and still hand the sales floor an absolute disaster of an opportunity.
Oh, 100%. Because high appointment volume is often a total illusion. The appointment was maybe too easy to set, or the customer wasn't qualified at all.
Because the BDC is selling the visit, right, not the vehicle.
Exactly. They are rewarded for getting the customer to agree to come in. The sale floor is judged on whether they can close them. Those are completely different goals.
Dealerships love those concrete numbers, though. Like, hey, we set 87 appointments this week.
Right, but an appointment is not a deal. Customer saying, sure, I'll swing by at 4 is not a qualified buyer.
So management thinks the pipeline is super healthy, but the sales floor is actually drowning.
Yeah, they are drowning in weak opportunities. And this moves us from the theoretical metrics right to the physical moment the customer walks through the doors.
Which is where the BDC's CRM record totally collides with the salesperson's reality.
Right, because to the BDC, a lead record looks so clean. The notes just say, wants cheap SUV, appointment set for 5.1 high van, wants lower payment.
It looks handled.
It looks handled.
Right.
But to the salesperson, the reality is a human problem. They sit down and find out the customer has a 520 credit score, $9,000 in negative equity, brought no proof of income, and wants a $399 payment with zero money down.
Oh, wow. And why are they even there with those expectations?
Because of the incentive trap. BDC agents aren't trying to create bad appointments. They are just doing what management asks.
Right, hit the quota.
Yep. So to get the appointment, they punt the hard questions. They say things like, oh, we can go over your options when you arrive. They basically transfer all the risk to the sales floor.
So instead of working a buyer, the salesperson is instantly forced into untangling a massive misunderstanding. The BDC got the appointment, but the sales floor inherited the expectation.
Exactly. And chaos just eats weak handoffs.
Yeah.
When a customer arrives in the war zone of the showroom with no context, they are treated like just another body walking around, and all momentum completely dies.
And because these bad handoffs happen repeatedly, the culture naturally becomes incredibly toxic.
So it gets so bad. The gap between the departments widens, and it creates this vicious cycle of failure. Salespeople start saying BDC appointments are basically garbage.
Right. They think the agents just lie to get people in the door.
Yeah, and the BDC gets frustrated too. They feel like they worked hard to build rapport only to watch the salesperson act lazy or fail to greet the customer properly and just burn the lead.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. This bad handoff becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, because the sales team expects a weak appointment, they work it with zero urgency. They skip steps, the deal dies, and then they immediately blame the BDC.
Oh, absolutely. And if you want proof of this, just look at the CRM notes. They're basically a crime scene of dead notes.
Just totally useless information.
Completely. The BDC writes, customer wants SUV. Sales writes, bad credit. Just looking. Neither note explains why the deal actually failed.
Right. It doesn't tell marketing anything. It doesn't tell management anything.
No. And this raises an important question about the system itself.
Well,
Both departments think the other is the problem, but the real issue is the misaligned incentives and just a total lack of a shared definition of success.
okay, so now that we've diagnosed this systemic disease, let's pivot to the cure. How do you actually align marketing, the BDC, and the sales floor into a single revenue machine?
It starts with what you measure. You have to stop measuring just appointments and start measuring desk-ready conversations.
Desk-ready conversations. I like that. What does that actually mean in practice?
It means the store has enough context and motivation to work the deal intelligently. But for that to happen, marketing must align first.
Right, because if an ad promises like everyone gets approved or claim your $5,000 voucher.
Yeah, it saddles the BDC and the sales floor with completely impossible expectations. The ad has to be honest.
And then the notes in the system have to actually mean something.
Exactly. Notes must be handoffs, not just historical records. A note shouldn't just say, apt at 3.
It should have the actual context.
Yes. It should say, driving older sedan, wants payment under $500, coming at 3. Open the conversation with family and space need.
Oh, that makes a huge difference. Which brings us to the crucial first 5 minutes when they walk in.
Those 5 minutes are everything. If a salesperson walks up and just asks, so what brings you in today? That is a failure.
Because the customer thinks, I literally already told the lady on the phone all of this.
Right. Trust instantly evaporates. That sentence means the handoff failed. The salesperson absolutely must greet the customer with context to prove they are continuing the conversation, not just restarting it.
So what does this all mean? It means the BDC's job doesn't end when the customer says, I'll come at 4. The appointment isn't the finish line, it's the handoff point.
That is the perfect way to phrase it. And, the sales floor has to take ownership too. They have to actually read those notes before the customer arrives.
They have to know what ad campaign is running.
Exactly. And most importantly, they have to give specific feedback to the BDC afterward. If a deal fails, they can't just write bad lead. They need to say, payment expectation was unrealistic for this vehicle.
Right, close the feedback loop so the BDC can actually learn and adjust. But ultimately, managers have to inspect the quality, right? Like, why did it fail, rather than just praising the quantity?
Yes, and they have to tie compensation to outcomes that actually matter.
Oh.
Pay for shows, pay for sold appointments, pay for good notes. Don't just pay for raw volume.
So to wrap up this deep dive, just remember that a lead isn't successfully handled just because an appointment was set. A rigid obsession with those top-of-funnel activity metrics will quietly bleed your gross profit if the real human context gets lost in the middle.
It really will. And I'd encourage you to think about your own workplace or industry. How many success metrics are you celebrating at the top of the funnel that are actually just transferring unresolved problems and massive friction down to the people doing the final execution?
That is a great question to leave on. If your departments are playing different games, it's the customer who loses. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.